Hello, everybody, the Ash Notion here, and I am finally at the end. I am finally recording my reaction to the latest episode of the My Hero Academia dub, episode 16 of season 6. Still no title. But we are finally caught up, finally, and everything has gone sideways. Everybody's in the hospital except for the bad guys. I mean, some of the bad guys are in the hospital, but the rest of the bad guys are, breaking more bad guys out of prison and just doing everything they can to mess everything up and doing a damn good job of it. All for One is free, and yeah, that's pretty much where we left off. So, yeah, no delay. I am super excited to get caught up. I can't wait. I can't wait. Let's get into it. Starting in 3, 2, 1, and play. Alrighty then. Just did a quick search for the name. The Hellish Todoroki Family Part 2. Yeah. Which is, of course, the same name as a season 5, I want to say, episode. Part of the, what was it? Work study internship type arc there where they had the dinner. It's a little bit weird that they actually called it that, because I feel like the vast majority of this episode was not focused on the Todoroki family. That was kind of just tacked on at the end. I feel like the vast majority of this episode was about Hawks and about the way that civilians are dealing with the heroes and what's happened. I mean, also how the heroes are dealing with it. I mean, just to look back on it here a little bit, like, yeah, immediately after the intro, we just kind of cut over to Hawks and what he was doing. So yeah, it was not a bad episode. Hawks is pretty cool. Not my favorite character by any means, but like, I do appreciate him. I appreciate what his goals are, his desires. And I mean, his quirk is really cool, actually. And yeah, I mean, that backstory is tragic, of course. I mean, I don't know what else to add on to that. Like, it's just a fucked up situation. Dad was a criminal on the run. Mom was his mom was basically one of those weirdos who writes love letters to serial killers in prison. I mean, not that extreme, but like, she did shelter a known criminal who killed someone. Like, she made their situation infinitely worse. And, yeah. The only good thing to come out of that was Hawk's existence, I guess. Because, he's number 2 hero. He's done a lot of good. But, like, yeah, that whole situation was fucking messed up. I do think it's funny that his mom literally had little extra floating eyes as her apparent quirk. Because, like, everybody always jokes about moms having eyes in the back of their head. And it's just a pretty fun little visual thing to add a little bit of levity to the situation. Because otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's completely and utterly fucked. Little unclear on the timeline of, like, when Hawks saved all those people and whatnot and garnered the attention of the Hero Association, or Safety Commission actually is what they were. I also have to wonder, like, I thought the Safety Commission was like a government thing, but like the way that they treated Hawks, I really have to wonder, like, how much power and oversight did they have? Like, if Hawks were to go public with his story, or if he had gone public with his story, before everything went wrong, like, what would that have done? I mean, obviously, not a good thing to do, because it would destabilize a lot of stuff, probably. But, like, in terms of the Safety Commission, it feels like they had way too much power and way too little oversight in terms of, people watching them and making sure that what they were doing was right and ethical. Especially if they were also the ones who oversaw Tartarus and, like, put in place all of its protocols and whatnot. Because, like, yeah, that whole scenario is just fucked. Yeah, his mom. Yeah, I don't have much sympathy for his mom. Hawk's mom is just not as bad as his dad. Like, not like physically abusive or anything, but like, Jesus Christ, she did a number on her kid's psyche. Yeah, kind of sucks what Hawks is going through there with not being able to breathe or anything. Basically got roasted alive. That someday I will stop making roast chicken jokes with that, but not today. And yeah, man, Jesus without his uniform just looks fucking weird. He has like a long fucking neck. It reminds me of just like what this model would look like if I shrunk the head down to normal proportion size. Because, like, in order to get this model to look anything like normal, I actually had to extend out the neck super long. Honestly, I feel like sometimes I left the body too big, but any smaller and it just doesn't work. It just does not work. Whatever. Right, back to the show. So yeah, I mean, we got all the Todorokis in one place, finally, so that'll be interesting in the next episode. Yeah, the heroes. The heroes' response is pretty much what I expected. I mean, some of them just can't handle the pressure anymore, so they quit. Some of them can't handle the bad PR, so they quit. Like, and that's not actually helping the public opinion of them at all anyways. And yeah, like what Gina saw right there, like, there were a few people that were like, what's the word, happy about the heroes being there, but the rest of them, like the rest of the people, they were just fucking pissed off and looking for someone to attack, someone to blame. I mean, it's kind of understandable, in the wake of a disaster like that, people, they want a quick fix. They want someone to attack, someone to blame, someone to make pay for the hurt that they're going through, even if they weren't directly connected to it. Like, tragedies like that have a way of rippling through society and making everybody feel the effects in some manner or other, including just not feeling safe anymore. And I mean, the obvious real-world parallel, even for the people who didn't live in the United States, it's 9/11. I very much, even as someone who lives in the United States, I very much say, like, fuck that shit. That whole scenario was stupid, and it was used to justify conflicts that, like, war crimes is the wrong word, but, like, I'm not going to say that, America was the greatest back in the 90s and whatnot, but, like, things definitely took more of a downhill turn in terms of politics in the United States after 9/11. And they've just been kind of spiraling ever since. You know, like, in some ways we've gotten better, a little bit better about, like, gay people and whatnot. The internet has helped, like, with that in the sense that now people can, like, talk to each other and find out that they're not alone and whatnot. But just overall, politics-wise in the United States, ever since 9/11, everything's been spiraling downward. Because, I mean, some of it's just because people took advantage of it, but a lot of it was just the very real, like, the country was attacked. At least a symbol of it was. And, you know, a group took credit for it, which immediately meant that people had someone to blame, someone to attack. And they wanted to. Well, I don't quite remember that. I was very young back then, but I mean, just the fervor of it all was very not cool. Like, for years afterwards, everybody was just like, yeah, we gotta invade the Middle East. We gotta get Osama bin Laden. We gotta make them pay for what they did. You know, whole songs were written about it. And, like, yeah, it's the same thing here, you know? You got the villains. You got All For One, who perpetrated these things, but nobody can actually get to them. The military and police aren't effective against them. And on the other side of it, you got the heroes, who failed to stop the bad guys. So, of course, the civilians are going to go ahead and turn on the group that they can. You know, the bad guys can't be stopped, but the heroes are right there, and they're in people's minds just as much to blame. So of course they're going to attack them. Of course they're going to resent them and just be hateful. Everybody's afraid, everybody's hurting, and nobody has any solutions right now. And very clearly, the people in charge are not sharing information. They're not making people feel safe. You know, like, real world, like, when stuff like that happens, usually it's because they want to manipulate the populace in order to, you know, gain more power and whatnot. Because that's what politicians do most of the time. But here, frankly, there's no fucking reason for it. Oh, they're gonna panic? They're panicking already. Just fucking tell them what they need to know. Tell them the truth. I mean, it's one of those things where I just keep coming back to it. As soon as Endeavor Endeavor could have prevented a lot of this shit if the first time, like, he felt any sort of guilt about the stuff that he did, you know, back during, like, season 3, he'd immediately held a press conference and been like, all right, as the number one hero, here are the skeletons in my closet. Did I say number 3? I meant number 1. As the new number 1 hero, here's my history, my skeletons, everything that you need to know, everything that might someday be used against me, and go from there. I mean, I get that that's hard, but, like, hiding it just makes it worse. Because it allows opportunities for stuff like this, for Dobby to come forward. And, like, let's face it, if it hadn't been Dobby, it could have been any other member of his family who just decided that they had enough of Endeavor being a dick and not paying for it, so they just released the information to the public. At least the information that they know. So, yeah, I mean, and that's just on Endeavor's side of this. For fuck's sake, the public didn't even know that Nomus were real. Like, as soon as you apprehended one at the USJ, like, that information should have been, I mean, made public, yes. I don't know about, like, plastered all over the news of just like, oh, there are artificial humans capable of being made that can stand up to All Might, with multiple quirks, and, like, it's a freaky abomination of nature. Be on the lookout, you know, like, I don't know if that's something you want to put all over the news, but, like, at least like, get the information out here of just like, here is the villain that attacked the USJ that even All Might struggled to defeat. We suspect that there may be others like him out there. Please keep an eye out and send us information so that way we can handle this as quickly as possible. Frame it in a way that's like not gonna overly frighten people, but make people, actually gather information and help in that regard. But don't try to like fucking sweep it under the rug and keep it a secret and make it so that people don't know what's going on, because otherwise you're just creating a scenario where when people do find out what's going on, they're gonna be pissed that they were left in the dark, and they're going to be even more afraid than if you told them the truth beforehand. I mean, for fuck's sake, just look at RWBY. Just to bring that around, because like that's coming back soon, and I'll be reacting to Volume 9 of that very shortly. I look forward to it. But like, the whole situation with Salem and the attacks on the kingdoms / academies, like, the truth of that didn't go out until Volume 8. And like, the whole fucking world is now even more afraid than they would have been otherwise, because they were left in the dark about all of this. And so that it's again just going to make everything worse than if the truth had been out there from the beginning. The more you hide secrets, the longer you hide secrets like that, the worse it's going to get. Like I can kind of understand, hiding Hawk's origin. Like that's, I mean, aside from the part about like secret government program, like, but like keeping it under wraps that like his father was a criminal, his mother sold him out because she was tired of being poor and of taking care of a kid and all that kind of stuff. But like, keeping that sort of stuff more under wraps just to preserve Hawk's dignity about it all, like that I can kind of understand. But some secrets that impact the public and impact public's perception of their main hero, like stuff like that shouldn't be kept secret. It's kind of like again, bring it back to the real world. Like if someone is going to run for political office, they need to get out ahead of any given scandal. That's like common sense. Like if there is something scandalous in their past, they need to control the narrative. They need to break the news to the public in such a way that it will get the public on their side. Now, obviously, there are certain things that you just can't spin. If a politician raped somebody or murdered somebody, they're not going to get away with that. They're not going to be able to, spin it in such a way of like, look what a good person I am. I mean, well, in theory. If it was a case of like they were already caught, already sent to jail, and they like are making efforts to redeem themselves, then maybe they could kind of spin it. On the other hand, I also think in the United States you can't really hold office. Definitely above a certain station, you cannot hold office if you have committed a serious crime like that. So, but I mean, some like sexual deviancy. I'm not like, or not deviancy, but just like different sexual expression or whatever. Just like if a person, has a BDSM dungeon in their house, like might behoove them just a little bit if they're like running for president or something to make sure that the public doesn't necessarily don't like keep it a secret, but like make sure that somebody doesn't sneak in, take pictures, and plaster it all over the internet for everybody to find out. Like maybe I'm not saying be open about that sort of stuff, but like because like that causes other problems. But just like make sure you're not letting stuff like that turn into a scandal. Like or like I mean just for fuck's sake. How many Republicans over the years have had to, like, get around the scandal of, like, oh, they're actually gay. Like it shouldn't be a scandal. I mean, it is if they're married and cheating on their wife because that's their actual sexuality, but, like, they don't want to admit it. Like, then it becomes a bit of a scandal because, like, well, they're covering it up. They're hiding it. They're lying to the public and hurting other people in the process. Like, I mean, not necessarily. The wife could be cool with it, but, like, you know, it's one of those things where, like, don't hide shit like that. You know? Get out ahead of it. Make sure it's your narrative, especially if it's something that isn't actually harmful. I mean, in this case, with Endeavor, for fuck's sake, yeah, it's a little bit harmful. He was abusing his children, and he was behind closed doors. Not quite as much of a monster as the various villains he took down, but, like, not someone you want to support. So I don't know if there was a way to spin that, honestly, but, like, at least it wouldn't be as bad if he'd gotten it out there ahead of time. You know, he could have even spun it as, like, I don't feel worthy of being the number one because of all of this, so don't call me the number one. The number one slot can remain unfilled. It will always be All Might. You know, something like that. Like, there are ways he could have done it and made it so that the public didn't hate him over it all. Anyway, that kind of got away from me a little bit. I touched on a lot of things there that I probably shouldn't have, just rambling. But, yeah. Finally caught up! It feels great, actually. Like, there are things that don't always feel as good as you think they'll feel. This feels great. Still a little bit concerned about the future, but all things considered, we got through the war arc. And one of the things that I thought was going to happen that was super terrible, that I was, like, you know, just, like, my mind was breaking trying to figure out how to deal with it, it didn't even happen. So, like, I don't even know if the information I read was accurate, or if maybe it comes from way later in the show, in which case, I mean, hey, at least I've already come to terms with it then, but, like, yeah. And this is one of those things where I am not going to tell you what the fuck I'm talking about. I will say it was character death related. And maybe from things I've said, you guys can figure it out, but I'm not going to actually say it. In any case, though, I think I'm about done for this episode. So, yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up here and tell y'all to come back. Oh, God, I don't even know when. I don't even know how many of these I have recorded and when they're all going to come out. I mean, obviously by the time this comes out, episode 17 will already have aired. Or it should have, I don't know. But it should have aired, so if it has aired, then it will be out, like, tomorrow. Well, maybe not tomorrow. It depends. I mean, maybe I'll do some Konosuba recordings. But for right now, that's going to be it for My Hero. I am quite happy. In any case, I will see you in whatever the next video turns out to be. And until then, bye-bye.